And hello again, my little mathematicians. We are going to be reviewing all of the operations with fractions. So I'm going to focus on subtracting because it's the same as adding, and then multiplying and dividing. We haven't done those for a while. So if you could please follow along on C-69, that would be great. I'm going to do one of kind of each type. So I'm going to do Y, I, B, and O with you. And then I'm also going to try to help you get started on N and W. All right, now since there's not enough space here for these ones, these there are, so if you want you can put the work for M, L, H, D, and G, but all of these guys there's not enough space. So when there's not enough space, you always show your work on a separate sheet of paper. And get in the habit of labeling. This is C-69. Okay, and we're gonna start with, I told you I'd go through Y with you first. Okay, so you have 6½ minus 1 9/10. Now, if you write it like this, that is not helpful, okay? And why even waste the time of writing it that way on your worksheet or on your separate sheet of paper? So get in the habit of whenever they give it to you like this, always rewrite them vertically, one on top of the other. Okay, now when you're subtracting, your first step is always to get a common denominator. What can 2 and 10 both become? They can both become 10. Okay, well, 2 times what is 10? 5. So 1 times 5 is 5. 10 times what is 10? 1. So 9 times 1 is 9. You could do that because 5/10 is the same or equivalent to 1/2 because we only multiplied it by 1. Any number over itself is 1. And when you multiply a number times 1, it keeps its sense of self or identity. If this were adding, it would be great, okay? Keep the denominator of 10. 5 plus 9 is 14. Unfortunately, this is not an adding problem. This is a subtracting problem. And you can't take 9 from 5. So I need to borrow from the whole number of 6. So I borrowed 1, and then I'm going to add 1 to this fraction. And how you add 1 is you always pick whatever this denominator is to be the same number over itself. Because remember, any number over itself is 1. And to make less work for yourself, pick whatever that denominator is, so that then when you go to combine 1, the number over itself, with your 5/10 fraction, you already have a common denominator. And then 5 plus 10 is 15. Now you have a big enough numerator to take 9 away from. So 15 minus 9 is what? 6. Keep the denominator the same of 10. Don't forget that whole number out in front. 5 minus 1 is 4. Are you done? No, because 6/10 can reduce by 2. So you have 4, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now you're done. Okay, up above on your worksheet, anytime that you see a 4 3/5, you will write a Y. It could happen more than once, so make sure you always check every single line. All right, I also told you that I would do problem I. Whenever you see the word of, if you have a fraction of something, you're going to multiply that. Okay, so you're taking that 2/5 of means multiplying 40. When you have a whole number, you just put it over 1. So 2/5 times 40. Now when you're multiplying, you could just start by multiplying across. 2 times 40 is 80, putting it over 5 times 1 is 5, and then you'd have to reduce that. I like cross-canceling first. It makes it a lot simpler. So what can go into 5 and 40? 5 can. And 40 divided by 5 is 8. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now you have much smaller numbers to deal with. 2 times 8 is 16. And 1 times 1 is 1. 16 over 1 is just 16. Okay, so that's how you would do problem I. The next one, B, you're still multiplying. You have 2 5/8 times 4/7 times 12. Okay, so if we're multiplying, remember you can't have mixed numbers. You need to change those mixed numbers to improper fractions. So you keep the denominator the same, and then you multiply the denominator with the whole number and add the numerator. So 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 5 is what? 21. Times, that's nice, it's already a fraction. And then times, when it's a whole number, you just put it over 1. Now you could do just the first two, find that answer, and multiply that answer times 12, but I like to do them all at the same time. You don't have to, whichever way you think is easiest. Okay, you could do this multiple ways, okay? Yes, from top to bottom, you can cross cancel from this fraction or even from this fraction. So if yours, as long as you get the same answer, you're okay. If you cross canceled something different, that's all right, as long as you didn't make a math error. And this is why I like to show my work of what I divided by and like really be neat and tidy with these. Don't try to cram everything into one line. Really be neat and tidy. I can cross cancel the 7 and 21 by 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now there's no right or wrong way to do this, except if you were to do 4 into 12, because those are on the same line. They're not top to bottom. You can reduce 4 and 8 or 12 and 8, either one. I'd say why not make the bigger numbers smaller? So what numbers can go into both 8 and 12? 4 can. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay. 3 can't cross cancel with anything down here, but oh, this 2 and 4 can cross cancel. So I could say, well, 2 can go into both of these. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, before I go any further, this is getting a little bit messy, so let's go. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. And then 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. 18 over 1 is 18. Okay, if you didn't do that second step right here, if you had 3 over 2 times, that was then a 4 over 1 times 3 over 1. Okay, so I'm showing that we cross-canceled these, but then you didn't do this last step of the 2 into the 4. Okay, well, you would have then just multiplied across and gotten 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 1 again is 2. And then you would have gotten 36 divided by 2 is still 18. Okay, I apologize for the invasion of the cat. Regardless of how you did those, you still should have gotten an answer of 18. Right, so we've done multiplying. Now let's try dividing. So do the next one down is problem O. And it says it's 4 2/3 divided by 10. Well, dividing fractions is almost the same as multiplying. You want to first change any mixed numbers to impropers. So keep the denominator the same. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. Divided by whole number over 1. The only thing that's different about multiplying versus dividing is once you get to this step, we actually technically don't know how to divide fractions. We can only multiply them. So I change this to a multiplication problem by going keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip that second fraction. So 1 goes to the top and 10 now goes to the bottom. Okay, keep, change, flip. Now it's just like the problems we did before where it's a multiplying problem. So you can multiply across, or you can look to see if there's anything that can cross cancel. 2 can go into both of these guys. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And when you multiply across, 7 times 1 is 7. And 3 times 5 is 15. You can't reduce that, so you're done. 7/15. All right. If you got all of those right, one of each, congratulations. I want to get you started on right here, N and W. Okay. It says, and again, try to set them up yourself, hit pause, and then hit play to follow along if you think you can do them yourself. I strongly recommend getting practice. George is making 8 gallons of tropical trip punch. He has already poured in 1 3/4 gallons of pineapple juice and 2.5 gallons of orange juice. The only other ingredient is 7-Up. How much 7-Up does George need? So I need this much total. This is how much he used. So find out how much he used and then find the difference between that and how much he needs, and that'll give you how much was left of the 7-Up. So you're going to add 1 3/4 plus 2.5. Okay, whatever answer you get from there, you're going to subtract that answer from 8 gallons. Now don't forget, okay, now when you added those, I'm just going to tell you actually that you should have gotten 4 1/4. You can't take 1/4 from nothing. So you need to borrow from the whole number, 7, and then when you go to write the same number over itself, pick this denominator of 4/4. So now you have a denominator of 4. 4 minus 1 is 3, and 7 minus 4 is 3. So it's 3 3/4. Okay, if you got that one right, congratulations. For this one, it says Martha likes to walk around a park near her house. The park is square, and it's 7/10 miles on each side. So 7/10 here, 7/10 here, 7/10 here, and 7/10 here. One morning, she walked around the park, okay, so all the way around, 3.5 times. So how far did she walk? Well, there's 1 trip, 2 trips, 3 trips, and then half a trip. So I need to find out, first of all, how far just 1 trip is. So 1 trip all the way around is 4 of these 7/10. So you need to multiply 4 times 7/10. Remember, if it's a whole number, put it over 1. That's the distance around once. But she didn't go once. She went 3.5 times. So whatever distance you get all the way around the park, okay, which is 4 times 7/10, you're going to multiply that by 3.5 because she did it 3.5 times. So once you find the answer here, you're going to multiply that times 3.5. Once you figure out those, you can go ahead and check your work. Okay, so hit pause, check it. If you got it right, good job. Okay, now you have mastered, if you got all the problems right on the sheet, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide mixed numbers. So please pat yourselves on the back.